You claim humanity causes the destruction of the galaxy. How can this be? Earth is surrounded by an alien armada. Our allies lie in ruins. Their worlds ravaged. I don't see how we could be the great threat in the universe.
You should never trust a Drengin. That's what I've learnt from my time with Stardock's excellent Galactic Civilizations 3. They will screw you every single time. I did try, honestly, I gave them every chance. After all, my expansive Krynn Empire was a bastion of enlightenment and spiritual purity. At least on the surface. Behind the scenes, my diplomats and spies held a noose around the neck of the galaxy, assuring my dominance of the United Planets, which are a kind of galactic UN, and spreading my influence ever further through cultural treaties, propaganda stations, and good old-fashioned bribery. Though the reach of the Krynn was awe-inspiring, the troublesome, warlike Drengin was settled in a distant cluster of stars, far enough away that they thought they could defy me openly by raiding my bustling trade routes and attacking my vulnerable allies. This would not stand. There was one problem though. My most advanced warships lacked the deep space stasis systems necessary to traverse the galaxy and take the fight all the way across to the Drengin sector. I'd left my military to stagnate and the enemy had taken advantage. Well, no longer. It was time for a new wave of Krynnic technological might. I'd have to put a hold on my cultural research and deal with these upstart Philistines before they ignited a galaxy-wide war. Fortunately, Gal Civ 3 does a great job of allowing you to switch up your focus at any point without making it too tricky to do so. The governance screen contains a simple graph with 3 axes, representing research, manufacturing and your economy. A simple shift of the cursor and you can pump all your manpower into military production or switch over to research to unlock key tech assets. 4X games often get bogged down in micromanagement, but that's not the case here thanks to a smooth, intuitive interface and some simplified construction mechanics. Even with upwards of 40 colonies to manage, I never found myself getting irritated with the intricacies of governing my realm. The familiar planetary maps return, though this time they're hex-based rather than squares, and each fresh colony comes with its own idiosyncrasies. You might find a paradise world ripe for resource extraction, but blanketed by radioactive clouds, or a frozen Hoth-like planet packed full of valuable crystals. The revised main screen interface displays each colony neatly and unobtrusively on the right hand side of the screen, so you can tell at a glance what's being built, how happy your populace is, and how efficiently your research and production is coming along. In another smart change, shipyard production is now kept separate from planetary construction, which means you can build up both your military forces and your civilian infrastructure simultaneously. The tech tree has also been vastly improved, with a lot of the clutter removed. There's no more chugging your way through Laser 1, Laser 2, Laser 3 and so on. These have been replaced with milestones that repay your scientists' hard work with unique rewards. A new toy, a cooler ship, or a new diplomatic option, for example. There are new specialisation options as well that allow you to tinker even further. Research advanced shield tech, say, and you'll be able to choose whether you want cheaper installation fees, improved power, or reduced mass. The latter can be particularly important when you're trying to jam in as much experimental gear as possible onto your most advanced ship designs. The ship designer tool remains as time-devouringly addictive and deep as ever. Thanks to some intelligent, simple controls, even those who don't have the patience to painstakingly recreate an Imperial Star Destroyer or a Klingon Warbird can mix together a few cosmetic elements and create something that looks really cool. The slot system for ship parts forces you to make some tough decisions about how you outfit your vessels, but it also makes it incredibly easy to adapt to tactical situations. Here's an example. My response to the aforementioned Drengin border war was to create a new line of Hand of God Mark I battleships. These were lighter armoured vessels that lacked the heavy-hitting kinetic arsenal of my heavier ships of the line, but were instead issued with deep space stasis pods and experimental hyperdrives that allowed them to travel all the way across the galaxy to dispense justice in the name of the Krynnic way, and it worked really well. Cinematic Battle Viewer even lets you watch your new creations at work, though an erratic camera means that it's not always as satisfying as maybe it should be. While it is cool to see your beloved warships flinging lasers out of every single metal orifice, the controls are a little awkward, which means you often miss out on the best view of the carnage. It's not a deal breaker, but it's maybe something for Stardock to work on down the line. All those improvements to the interface and mechanics of the game aren't worth much without a decent foe to challenge you, but thankfully the AI in Galactic 3 largely holds up its side of the bargain. The main thing for me is that alliances can actually stick, something a lot of strategy games struggle to get right. Get a couple of like-minded factions on side, there are 3 different ideologies in the game and opposing factions can take a real dislike to you, and with a smart use of diplomacy you can create a lasting alliance. Meanwhile, enemies are capable of impressive adaptation in their own right, attacking vulnerable frontier zones and trade lanes, and even forming their own alliances against you. There is still some work to be done. Factions are rather too happy to colonise planets in your domain, regardless of the fact that your sheer weight of influence will flip them over to your side in short order. And several times I received threats from laughably underpowered rivals. In general though, you do feel like you're up against worthy and adaptable adversaries. I would suggest bumping the difficulty up from normal to challenging. Normal difficulty seems a tad too forgiving, and challenging seems to offer the most balanced experience. Galactic 3 packs in a huge amount of replayability, with the main campaign, 8 races each with their own slightly altered tech paths and building trees, the ability to create your own faction from a pool of specialties and drawbacks, and a range of different options for setting up your galactic playground. The new 64-bit requirement means that Stardock's been able to push the galaxy sizes up to truly ridiculous levels, with thousands of star systems and planets. The insane map size is pretty well named. You could play for hours and hours and not even encounter half the other races populating the galaxy. With a couple of like-minded friends, you could easily have a multiplayer game running for years, dipping in every now and then for another few rounds. You will need a reasonably hefty PC to play at this level, and even then the sheer amount of gears the game has to turn will inevitably slow things down a little, but the option is there for those that can handle it. Though I never ran into any crippling issues, it is worth pointing out that Galactic 3 can be a little temperamental performance-wise. Occasionally my cursor would slip out of control, constantly dragging the camera down until I restarted the entire game, and I did run into a few desktop crashes and notification boxes with missing text. In a game of this scale, these issues are forgivable, and a solid autosave system preserves your hard work from crashes, but don't expect an entirely bug-free experience at launch. That said, the few issues I encountered fell well within acceptable boundaries considering the amount of fun I was having with the game. Galactic Civilizations 3 is a constantly rewarding experience, a colossal box of toys with which you can create some truly memorable stories. It's the embodiment of the just one more click cliche, a game that can have you jumping on, intending only to play a few turns, only for you to come to your senses hours later, eyes bleary and unfocused, but that new armada of Elerium shielded warships ready to roll over your enemies. Like previous entries in the series, the game does require some serious time investment, but crucially, it never feels like a chore. There's always something cool to work towards, some reward or interesting decision coming your way. It's also genuinely funny at times with some clever writing and characterful species design. Even some lingering technical issues can't spoil the fun. This is the new gold standard in 4X space strategy. Game Watcher gives Galactic Civilizations 3 a well-deserved 9 out of 10. For more reviews, previews and other content from Game Watcher, please subscribe to our YouTube channel or follow us on Twitter at GameWatcherCom.